cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's time again to cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in to. It's the number one podcast. The topics of discussion when we broadcast. So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a public standpoint. Real, wherever you're from, life is coexisting, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. Wherever you're from, life is coexisting, but to know the real, you just gotta listen.
What up, everybody, and welcome to the 52 Scott Podcast. This is For Women Wednesday. I'm your host, Freddie G, joined by my co-host, K Money, Slash, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast. On Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And for all my YouTubers, don't forget to like and subscribe. And welcome to another Women Wednesday. Okay, ladies, after evaluating the male gender as a whole, I've come to the conclusion about a few things. One of which we're going to discuss today. And that is, maybe, just maybe, men are the reason some of y'all act the way you do. Now, ultimately, it's your responsibility for your own actions. You're responsible for that. And blaming someone for the way that you act is not an excuse. However, men may be the contributing factor to the very thing that they complain about in women. Now, before we dive in, I'm sure some guys may disagree with today's episode. Nevertheless, I believe the conversation needs to be discussed. So, I want to say, the views and opinions you hear on our shows are unscripted. In the past, my co-host and I have said things about women that may have been a hard pill for them to swallow. Nevertheless, we call it like we see it. Now, with that being said, I have a rhetorical question. Well, actually, 3 rhetorical questions. Why is she acting like that? Why is she saying that? And why is she doing that? Now, let me put some context to it. When a woman is acting in a negative way or a combative way, have you ever asked yourself, why is she acting like that? When a woman is saying things that can be perceived as confrontational, have you ever asked yourself, why is she saying that? And when a woman is doing something that we as men don't approve of, have you ever asked yourself, why is she doing that? The truth is, a man could very well be the reason why she act the way she do, why she say the things she do, and we could be the cause of her behavior. And if that's the case, more men may feel the effect of one woman's actions and what one man has caused in her. As soon as a man feels the effects of what unwanted behavior from a woman, as soon as they feel that, that man is probably going to say, man, she tripping. Or he's going to say, man, she throw it off. Or he's going to say, man, she's bipolar. Or he's going to say, man, she's crazy. Or he's going to say, well, man, she's just a negative person. The bottom line, a lot of women have been traumatized. A lot of women carry a sense of entitlement. A lot of women operate from a conceited disposition, all of which may have been caused by a man. Okay, fellas, it's time to have a candid conversation about how men may be the contributing factor to the very thing that they complain about in women. Now, I want to reiterate, ultimately, a person is responsible for their own actions, and blaming another person for the way that they act is not an excuse. So, fellas, let me ask y'all, what are we doing to women to make them act the way that they do?
I'll answer that, and I'm gonna be honest. It was more of the age of 28 and younger, and like you said, the traumatization, all the traumatizing that they done men after men after men. 28 and younger, you may pretend you want a relationship, but be lying, and you have other women. That would traumatize any woman, because every woman wants to be the only woman. They don't want you with other women. So when I was 28 and younger, that's how we was traumatizing. And as they deal with more and more and more men doing the same thing, that after a while the trust is gone.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, as well as I think a lot of men in the beginning, they do things in the beginning that they don't do later on in a relationship, so they're not consistent. And it's the things that they're not doing. Well, let me back up. We'll woo a female, we'll bait them and get them in where we want them. And once they've, I had to rephrase that. Once they've done all that they wanted, then they change how they act. A man can change how he acts. So that can
that's a good one. Yep.
Just like that song, you got to do the same. I can't even think of the damn song. I'm gonna think of it before the end of this show, but you got to do the same things you did in the beginning to keep them.
Right.
Type of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Now, what I think contributes to the women acting the way they do from a man's point of view, I think it's more or less the communication that you have with her. If you're not communicating certain issues and y'all not able to come to a compromising state on certain issues, I think that can traumatize her a little bit, because she's used to a guy telling her what she wants to hear. She's already used to that. So one thing a man have to be or what a man has to do is, if it's something that you told this woman, I think you have to keep your word. That's all you got.
Yeah.
With a woman, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All you have is your word, and the minute you go against your word, she's lost trust, she's lost faith. Everything that a man's supposed to be to a woman, you are not now, because you hadn't been totally honest, or you didn't communicate a certain situation with her. So that can definitely add on to, some of the reasons why women act the way they act towards men. And you don't have to really say much, because what you got to realize that she's watching. If she's that type of woman, you got some women and you got some guys that kind of pay attention to the relationship that they in, and the things that the person does in a relationship. You have to, you have to pay attention to.
Yeah,
these
you got to
things.
study your mate.
That's the only way you learn. And if you're not learning correctly, then there's a problem. And I think that adds on to the extra stress in relationships, where women, first thing they start doing is start talking crazy to you. And now you're trying to figure out, well, why is this woman talking to me like that? Well, man, think about it. Did you communicate properly with her about a certain situation? Because that's where it comes from with her. It comes from her emotional glands or whatever they have. She's remembering you lied to her last week. You didn't intend to, but she's looking at it like, well, damn, you didn't tell me this, you told me that, and then you didn't keep your word. So that kind of starts the process of them not trusting in what men say most of the time, or that's why the relationships are not as strong nowadays.
So all of y'all gave your reasoning as to what could traumatize these women and what men are doing to them. Now, Comedian 96, you mentioned that we'll pretty much lie to them that we want to be in a relationship, but really we're just lying to them, and we have multiple chicks on the side, so that's kind of like cheating on them, right?
Cheating, yeah, misleading.
It ain't kind of like cheating.
Okay,
Shit.
well, yeah.
Cheating, yeah.
So misleading them,
because you can't really say, I want you to be my main chick, but I want these other hoes too. You can't say that.
You can.
You
can,
just
not go get what you want.
Exactly.
But you may. You never.
You just never know.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
And Slash, you were pretty much saying that, we're not openly communicating with them properly to where, and then ultimately we can end up lying to them, and then that could become an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all of that being said, and K Money, yours kind of piggybacked off of Comedian 96, correct?
Yeah, so to speak. Yeah.
Okay, so
sort of.
with all of that lines up with the way that they're traumatized, is that they no longer trust us as men. right? Do y'all agree or disagree?
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, can that traumatization that we put upon them, could that cause them to be sexually promiscuous?
No, I think it has an opposite effect. I don't know if any of you dealt with this, but you ever dated a girl, or you start dating a girl, and I'm not finna have sex, and you be like, you been sexing all these other dudes, and you want to stop at me? Oh no! So they're traumatized because in their head, if I have sex with you, this is all you gonna want, and you gonna leave. So I think it'll go the other way. I think they'll stop having sex.
Okay.
That's a great point.
Okay.
Comedian 96.
Yes, sir.
He been through it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'll be like, nah, you been sexing all these other 50 years, 30, 20 some years. You want to stop at me?
Yeah, she just
Bye.
didn't like you,
Now-
man.
Yeah, that's how I
didn't
look at
like
it.
you, bro.
Bye.
So those are some of the ways we're damaging these females.
Right.
Now, all of that can cause them to be traumatized. But y'all also may have heard me mention that a lot of, when I said that a lot of women have been traumatized, I also said that a lot of women carry a sense of entitlement. Now, can a man cause a woman to walk around and make her feel like she's entitled?
Yeah, hell
Oh,
yeah.
of course.
I mean, a man can pump a female's head up to where she thinks she the shit, and if that relationship don't last, the very next one she can go into that one with that same mentality, thinking she the shit.
Okay, so when we're pumping their heads up, how are we doing that?
Well, it could be done a variety of ways. Constant flattery,
Yeah,
complimenting.
constant,
Compliment
oh,
most of the time.
my
That's
favorite
it.
one. Why you with me as beautiful as you are? So in her head, oh, why am I with you?
And you just knocked yourself out the box.
I'm just saying, I do
But
that.
you realize what you said, right?
Yeah, I know what I'm
You
saying.
just said that you're not good enough for her.
I know, but what I'm doing is trying to make her feel
No,
extra.
that's not
special.
gonna help her.
I will never do that again.
Because
I
what
know
she
that.
now, what if she decides to say, "Oh, he got low self-esteem because you said that."
True.
And that's not what she looking for in a mate with low self. A woman is looking for a protector, somebody with confidence, and all of this.
But that's a
you just
compliment.
took
That's a compliment.
that's a
And then
compliment to her, but low self-esteem on your end.
When she catch
True
you
that.
cheating,
I agree.
and when she catch you cheating, she'll be like, "God damn, I'm with this motherfucker, and he done cheated on me."
Well, that was when I was 28 and below. So I don't do that now.
Big head, one-eyed motherfucker, and he done cheated on me.
So K Money, you said complimenting them could make
What-
them feel like.
And I do believe that we should compliment our mates. However, you can it can be exaggerated.
So here's why I went back to you, K Money, because I mentioned that a lot of women carry around a sense of entitlement, but in the same breath, when I mentioned the traumatization, the sense of entitlement, I also mentioned that a lot of women operate from a conceited disposition, and so when you say that they carry around, you tell them that they are the shit and you compliment them,
Yeah.
that lines up more with them operating from a conceited disposition
Right.
rather than them walking around with a sense of entitlement.
Yeah, I mean, but compliments can be broad because you could compliment her cooking, and you know damn well what you eating is not as good as what you saying it is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you did that, for an example, if you did compliment them when they cooking, they can become conceited and be like, well, I know I can get a man because my man don't complain about my cooking because I
Right.
can cook. And I know one of the ways to get a man is to his stomach. So
Right.
if you can't cook, bitch, can't nobody cook like me, bitch.
Yeah.
So that can be.
Yeah. If you were constantly saying, damn baby, this is good, but you forcing yourself to eat it, that's not doing her any good. But you doing that to butter, like I say,
Nah, that's one thing I won't.
boost her up.
I will not.
That's just an example of a
it's an
compliment.
example, but I see people do it.
So
Exactly.
with that example, so would that fall in line more so of a woman operating from a conceited disposition versus a woman's sense of entitlement?
Conceited. That would be the conceited.
I'm trying to find out what it is
Entitlement.
that men do to make these women feel like
They're entitled.
they're entitled.
When you put a title on the relationship, they feel entitled. Off the bat.
When you feel
Bam.
their head,
Bam.
when you
Not
Say-
until
No,
not
no,
until
say that again.
when you put a title on the relationship, they become entitled.
Okay, so here's the title. We are exclusive. You are my woman.
They're entitled. Now.
They're entitled to what?
Whatever you got, whatever. If she wants to make you happy or make you upset, she's entitled to that because of the title that you gave her. Now, if you started off and there is no title, then what can she be entitled to?
Okay, so if you're my woman, you're my girl.
If you say that, she's entitled.
Yeah, is she entitled to know how much money you got in your bank account?
Yep. Now she is. You put her in that business now. She's entitled to ask you whatever she want to ask you. And now you have to show her how real you are, because if you don't give her the answer she's looking for, now she's going to feel like you lied to her in a certain way. Now the trust factor is being turned a little bit.
I don't know.
I mean, it's very important, man.
I don't think she's entitled to know that information at that point in time, just because she's your lady. I mean, if you want to share it, that's up to you. But I don't think they're actually entitled. They may think that they are,
Right.
and they may get the courage to
Right.
ask once you give them that title. But I don't necessarily think that it has to be given to them at that point in time, and for legitimate reasons. I just don't think we where we need to be, where you need to know that info.
And my thing is this, for the fellas to understand: if this is a woman that you like, and you're not just you afraid to not, let me see, how could I say this? I don't mean afraid like scared, afraid, but I'm saying you like her, but you don't want to tell her, hey, I'm not really looking for a relationship, but I like you as a friend. So here's where the entitlement set begins. That initial conversation into what it is you want with her has to be the start of whether it's going to be entitlement or not. Right off the muscle. Guys, it's a lot you can say. Hey, right now, I don't think a relationship's going to work for me, but I don't mind talking to you, seeing you. We might can hang out, have a few drinks, just as friends. It's so many ways. You don't have to lie to these women. And see, when you lie to them, they can pick up, hey, man, real recognize real.
Hey, and moving forward, because what you said I think is very true. Once you give them a title in the relationship, they definitely think that they are entitled. But if you give them a title, then go ahead and set boundaries.
Right.
With that, and that way you don't have to worry about them feeling that entitlement if there's boundaries that have been set.
exactly. Yep.
Okay, so I want to reiterate something that I said, and then because everything that we're touching on is actually on the surface, right? On how men are damaging these females, and we may be damaging them and and they become traumatized. We may be damaging them by having them walk around carrying a sense of entitlement. Mm-hmm. We may be damaging them to where they start to operate from a conceited disposition. And all of the things that we've discussed so far, in my opinion, are on the surface. I think that there is some deeper things that are there that we as men are doing to damage these women. And so by the time you encounter a woman who may have been damaged, who may be either traumatized for whatever reason, or she's having a sense of entitlement, or she's walking around with a conceited disposition, once we encounter those types of women, then of course we're going to say, man, she be tripping, or she throwed off, she bipolar, she crazy, or she's just a negative person, right? But I think it starts sometimes from a father's neglect when they're little girls.
It's possible.
Well,
Yeah.
that is a saying that if a female normally if they have issues, then it started with the father at home, or the father wasn't at home, something on those lines.
That's a true statement. I actually, when I was 25 some years ago, I was dating a woman, and she said the same thing. She was like, my dad, my father wasn't there, and her cousins, men cousins, and I think she just had men issues altogether. So her father not being there, and then the men in her family being sorry, and it was like a collection, not just the father, but the men in her family.
So, Comedian 96, you said about 25 years ago,
about 25 years
you was
ago.
dating a woman, right?
Yeah, she's a woman. To 25 minus 25 is
Okay,
still
so what
25. She
year-
ain't a
what-
girl.
I get that. I'm good. But the way you said that makes me want to ask you, what year were you dating men?
But you stupid. I was. You want me to say I want to date a girl? I can say that.
I mean,
I was dating a girl.
because
Okay,
for most
how
men,
you want to hear it?
it's
How you want-
understandable that it's a woman
Oh, my
involved in dating.
God.
So when you said 25 years ago I was dating a woman,
I was dating this chick. What you want to hear? How you want to hear it?
man, this chick I was fucking with.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This said your way.
But you
then.
said I was dating this woman.
I
So
was-
mentally,
that's what I was
there's
doing.
listeners now. I'm just saying. There's
I
listeners
don't know
who
where
need to understand.
where we going. You're. I don't know where we going at this point.
Take that. All right, check it out, man. So that, fathers' neglect to the little girls or the young girls could cause them to be traumatized, and that could be the beginning. Also, I think that we as men, especially these athletes and with plethora of dollars and millions of dollars, we spoil them. Men spoil women to where they actually become self-entitled, and that fuels the gold digger mentality.
Yeah, I'm surprised neither one of us mentioned finance.
And man,
spoiling.
because here's the thing, not just, and I think yes, we have some parts of having these women act the way they do with us, but society got a lot to do with it too.
Facts.
So it's not all just on us. I'm not gonna put all the burden on us.
Well,
Society did a lot of this.
Well, I didn't put all of the burden on us.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing is I want to make sure we as men are held accountable for what we may have contributed
Right.
to the way some of these females act. Now, when you say society, guess who makes up society? Men and women.
That's right.
Men and women make up society. So we may have contributed to, and I want to make sure that, hey, no, we may be part, and I'm not talking about us four. We're the mind of men.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not talking about us. I'm just, men.
Will society be social media?
Well, who makes up social media? Men and women.
Yeah, but the false perception of my man took me here and this and this. So the girl can look at the man and
what
say,
if a man did take her there in this, right?
yeah, but then another girl looking outside, looking in, like, well, why my man don't do this?
I think social
You get what
media
I'm saying?
can contribute to, well,
Social media contributes to breakups
yeah,
and all kind of stuff.
I mean, social media is part of society nowadays.
So we agree that men with money spoil women.
Yes.
And then what that does is that gives them, a woman, a certain mentality.
Right.
Now, after she's dated a man with hundreds and thousands or maybe millions of dollars, now she look at other men that have less money like they can't even be with her.
Right.
Because they don't have enough.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making.
And so that means that she's operating from a sense of entitlement. Like she's entitled to a man.
I'm worth this.
Yeah. And so, but anyway, I mean, that's neither here nor there as far as like, whether or not she would date a broke man, we'll never know or whatever. But most of these women, well, a lot of women, act like, hey, you got to have a certain amount of money. So here's something that we're doing to these women. We're being abusive, verbally and physically.
I would say verbally, unintentionally. Unintentional verbal. You would say little slick stuff verbally, but don't really mean to say. That's it. But I'm not going to hit. I'm not going to hit a woman at all. So
let me say this, man. I don't say nothing verbally abusive to a woman, purposely, never.
Right. It's unintentional.
Now, it's not even unintentional. When I do it, the intended reason is because you set me off. Now I have to say something because there's a respect factor that still lies underneath when it comes to being a man and dealing with a woman. I'm not upset because of what you said. I can deal with what you said. The way you said it to me was rather disrespectful. And now that's going to set me off because I need us to be on the same page. If we're going to further this relationship and build character and build other things as well together, we got to have a respect lane. There's got to be that lane. So I can understand you being upset with something that maybe I did or I didn't do it the way you thought I should, but the way that you say that to me is going to make a big difference.
So you're being provoked.
Right, it takes
triggered.
that for me to be,
And I agree, yes. Yes.
So
correct.
So again, we good here. But men as a whole, what I'm saying is, could it be that part of the reason why they are traumatized is because men are abusing them physically and verbally? Let me give you an example of something. 2 examples. Doesn't even apply to us. But there are some pimps out here that are damaging these women. There are pimps. They get them however they're going to get them, and they're damaging them. And believe it or not, for instance, y'all remember C. Dolores Tucker?
Yeah.
Remember back in the 90s, there was a big movement against the rappers. Gangster rap and misogynistic and all of the things that they talk and call these women, verbally abusing women on record. So when I'm saying some of these women are walking around traumatized, or they're walking around with a sense of entitlement, or they're walking around in a conceited disposition, and I'm saying that, is it possible that verbal abuse or physical abuse could contribute to it, and that verbal and physical abuse could come from men too? Not saying all men.
I think it can. I totally agree with what Slash said. You know, I feel a high percentage of men are disrespectful because they're triggered, but that other percentage, and if you want to throw, let's say, an example, you utilize Freddie G, a pimp. You know, if a female is dealing with a pimp, then where's her accountability? You know, because you know what you're dealing with and you know who you're dealing with if you're around a pimp.
My thing is, she don't even count at this point because she got low self-esteem.
Right. You know, if you're dealing with that type of person, then you really can't blame them because you chose to be in that situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right, K-Money. That's totally her fault. She's got the low self-esteem. And like Cat Williams said, it's called self-esteem.
But
self-esteem.
But there are some men, you know, like I said, it's a low percentage in my opinion, that, you know, may come home from a hard day's work and just go the fuck off.
It's some.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's some. It's quite a few. I just can't speak from that because it's not, you know, nothing that so I can't give you a example that's going to fit that because it don't come from me that way. But I'm sure that they
do contribute to the traumatization.
Some that contribute to it. Yeah, you know, of course. You know, and there's so many other things that contribute to that. You know?
What about men who pretend to have more than they really do?
That don't make sense either.
That don't make sense. Yeah, you gonna get figured out.
And there's some out there because they'll tell a woman they got this, they got that, and then the woman find out that that's not true, and then now your business is everywhere because she gonna go tell her friends, this nigga said this, he got this, he ain't got that. So what you doing now is making her feel like, oh, the nigga gonna lie about what he got. Now she's really more skeptical about the next guy that approached her.
So that's the traumatization part, the trust issue. And she can't trust men now.
Right, and that's kind of what I was touching on earlier when I said, you know, doing what you did in the beginning, and then later on in the relationship, you done switch it up and change. I just wasn't as specific in regards to, you know, lying about what you may have or what you may, you know, what you got and what you can do type of shit. But it was pretty much on those same lines.
Okay, well, that was a good show, man. I'm gonna bring it to a close now. With that being said, man, for every cause, there's an effect. And for every action, there's a reaction. So guys, remember, most women are fragile. Just handle them with care. This concludes another dope episode. Tune in tomorrow for Think Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And for all my YouTubers, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Remember, the only way we grow is if you let them know.